There is a question that Rolling Stone asked Jimin in April 2026 that stopped a lot of people in their tracks. Not because it was a shocking question, not because it came out of nowhere, but because of the answer. A short, almost casual answer that somehow carried the weight of an entire decade of one man's journey with himself. The question was simple. Do you think you're too hard on yourself? And Jimin said, not really. Now, I'm just having a great time with life. It's a joy to practice with the BTS members. We're having so much fun in rehearsal. I can't wait to get on that stage. That's it. That's the whole answer. For sentences, and if you're someone who has followed Jimin's story, not just the highlights, not just the chart numbers and the sold-out tours, but his actual story, the one he has been building and telling through every album, every performance, every quiet confession he's given over the years, then you know exactly why those 4 sentences hit the way they did. And if you don't know the full story yet, stay right here. Because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why the internet couldn't stop talking about it, and why it matters far beyond K-pop. Before we dive in, if this kind of content speaks to you, the real stories behind the music, the moments that actually matter, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Videos like this are the ones we work hardest on, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Let's go back to the beginning. Not the beginning of BTS, but the beginning of Jimin's relationship with himself, and how complicated that relationship was for a very long time. ParkJimin joined Big Hit Entertainment at 16 years old. He came from Busan with a background in modern dance, not singing. He was the last member to officially join the group before their 2013 debut, which means he had the shortest training period of all 7 members. In an industry where preparation is everything, where trainees spend years sharpening every skill before they ever step in front of a camera, Jimin walked into debut with less time than everyone else around him. And he knew it. He felt it deeply. In his 2021 Rolling Stone interview, the first major solo cover Rolling Stone gave him, Jimin said something that stuck with a lot of fans. He said, "I feel that I wasn't fully ready and confident when we debuted." Think about what it means to carry that feeling while simultaneously becoming one of the most watched performers on the planet. Think about what it means to stand on a stage in front of 60, 70, 80,000 people and still have a quiet voice in the back of your head asking whether you belong there. That voice followed Jimin for years. Not in a dramatic, visible way, but in the way that perfectionism always works. Silently, relentlessly, in the hours between performances. He has talked about it in different ways across different interviews. About how he felt responsible for never making mistakes because fans had given so much of themselves, their time, their emotions, their devotion, to support him. About how letting go of the drive to be perfect felt, to him, like giving up, like quitting, like being okay with less than his best, which he simply could not do. This wasn't just an artist having performance anxiety. This was a person who had built his entire professional identity around the idea that he had to work harder than everyone else to compensate for the head start he never had. And for a long time, that drive worked. It produced extraordinary things. It produced the kind of stage presence that made people stop everything they were doing just to watch. It produced lie. It produced serendipity. It produced filter. It produced moments in concerts where the entire arena would fall silent because everyone was too absorbed in what Jimin was doing to remember to breathe. But it also cost him something, and the people who paid close attention could see it. Now here's where the story takes the kind of turn that you don't always see coming when you're living through it in real time. In March 2023, Jimin released his debut solo album, Face. And everything about that album was a direct conversation with the very thing we've been talking about. The title alone told you what this project was going to be. Face. As a noun, it's the thing you present to the world. As a verb, it means to confront, to look directly at something you've been avoiding. Jimin built an entire album around the act of finally looking at himself honestly, without flinching. The album was a critical and commercial phenomenon. Like crazy, made him the first Korean solo artist in history to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But beyond the chart achievement, which was genuinely historic and deserves to be talked about on its own terms, what the album represented personally for Jimin was a reckoning. It was an artist saying, "I have been carrying these feelings about myself for years. I am going to stop running from them. I am going to put them in music, and I am going to let the world hear exactly where I am." That takes courage that has nothing to do with talent. It has to do with honesty. And Jimin showed up with that honesty in full. But here's the thing about Face that people sometimes miss when they talk about it as a self-love album. It wasn't a celebration of arrival. It wasn't Jimin announcing that he had healed and figured everything out and was now happy and confident and whole. Face was the sound of someone in the middle of the process. Someone still asking questions. Someone still confronting things. The self-love was in the act of looking, not in the answer to what he found. That distinction matters enormously because it makes everything that came after even more meaningful. Then came his second solo album, Muse, released in July 2024 while he was still serving in the military. Think about that for a moment. Most artists go quiet during mandatory military service. They step back from the public, from the industry, from the creative process. Jimin found a way to release a full solo album in the middle of it. And Muse, even the title is a statement. Where Face was confrontation, Muse was inspiration. It was creative energy. It was an artist who had done the difficult inner work of the first album and was now channeling something different, something freer. The military service itself added another layer to Jimin's story that the Rolling Stone interview touched on directly. When the interviewer asked him about winning awards during his service, Jimin's answer was characteristically honest. He said that at first, he worked hard to make a good impression, because everyone in the military knew who he was, and he felt the pressure of that. But then something shifted. He said he eventually started working hard for a more practical reason, to earn more vacation days. There's something deeply human and grounding about that answer. Here is a man who has spent years performing at the highest levels of global pop music, and during his military service, the thing that motivated him toward the end was the very ordinary desire for more time off. That's not a diminishment of his character. That's a sign of someone who had learned to stop performing for an invisible audience in his own head all the time. And then June 2025 arrived. Jimin was discharged. BTS came back together. And the world was watching to see what the next chapter would look like. What followed was one of the most significant periods in BTS's history. The Arirang album, the Netflix Gwangwoman Square concert, the world tour, the Rolling Stone May 2026 cover package, described by Rolling Stone itself as the most ambitious cover story project in the magazine's nearly 60-year history. 8 different covers, 7 solo interviews, a moment of cultural recognition that said, what BTS has built is not a trend. It is a legacy. And in the middle of all of that, in the middle of this extraordinary cultural moment, Rolling Stone sat down with Jimin in February 2026 at HYB's Seoul headquarters and had a conversation. A real one. The kind that goes beyond the standard promotional talking points and asks the questions that actually matter. The interviewer noted something important about Jimin going into that conversation. They pointed out that despite everything he had accomplished, the Hot 100 #1, the history-making solo work, the critical acclaim, the Arirang era just around the corner, he still seemed to operate like someone who needed to catch up. Like he was still running from that feeling of not being ready back in 2013. Jimin confirmed this almost reflexively, saying he wasn't sure he could call himself a perfectionist, but that letting go of the desire to do well felt to him like wanting to quit, and that he didn't think he would ever be able to fully let go of it. That's a fascinating thing to say in February 2026, because it suggests that even as Jimin was entering one of the most celebrated periods of his career, some part of that old voice was still there, still present, still recognizable. But then the interviewer asked the question, "Do you think you're too hard on yourself, though?" And Jimin said, "Not really." 2 words. And in those 2 words, an enormous amount has changed. Because the Jimin of 2021, the Jimin who gave the first Rolling Stone interview, did not answer that question that way. In 2021, when the same underlying question was raised about his perfectionism and how hard he was on himself, his answer was essentially, "I don't know if I'll ever be able to let go. I feel responsible for being perfect because of how much fans have given. This is something that will continue to be difficult for me." That was an honest answer. That was the truth in 2021. And the fact that the truth had changed by 2026 is everything. Not really. Now, I'm just having a great time with life. Sit with that for a second. Just having a great time with life. Not performing for anyone. Not chasing a number. Not compensating for a training period that ended over a decade ago. Not running from a voice that tells him he doesn't deserve to be where he is. Just having a great time. With life. With the work. With the people he loves. It's a joy to practice with the BTS members. A joy. That word is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Jimin has always been someone who spoke about his bandmates with enormous warmth and love. But there is a difference between loving something and finding joy in it. Joy implies ease. Joy implies presence. Joy implies that you are not somewhere else in your head while the good thing is happening in front of you. The Jimin who used to carry so much pressure, so much self-scrutiny into every rehearsal room, that Jimin is describing rehearsals now as a joy. We're having so much fun in rehearsal. This one is for ARMY. Because if you have followed this group through the years, through the in-between seasons, through the uncertainty of when and how they would come back, through the military service period where you watched them go one by one and hoped for the version of BTS that would come out on the other side, hearing Jimin say that they are having so much fun in rehearsal is exactly the update you needed. Not, we're working hard. Not, we're giving our best. Fun. They are having fun. That is a BTS that has done the personal work. That is 7 people who went away, figured out some things, came back, and are now genuinely enjoying what they do together again. I can't wait to get on that stage. And then there's this. I can't wait. Not, I'm nervous. Not, I hope I do well. Not, I'm working hard so I don't let anyone down. I can't wait. That is pure, uncomplicated excitement. That is someone who has wrestled with every part of being a performer, the pressure, the scrutiny, the self-doubt, the responsibility, and has come out on the other side of all of it still choosing the stage. Still wanting it, but wanting it differently now. Wanting it for the joy of it. That shift from performing out of responsibility to performing from joy is the whole story. That is Jimin's arc in 4 sentences. Now, let's talk about why this matters beyond the fandom. Because it does. There is a particular kind of person in the world, and maybe some of you watching this are this kind of person who builds their entire sense of worth around output, around never making mistakes, around working harder than everyone else to compensate for some real or imagined deficit, around performing, not just on a stage, but in every room, for every person all the time. This kind of person is often described as driven, as disciplined, as someone with high standards, and they are all of those things. But they are also, quietly, someone who has never quite given themselves permission to just be, to just exist without earning it. Jimin was this person. He has described it himself in enough different ways across enough different years that there is no ambiguity about it. And the reason his April 2026 Rolling Stone answer resonates so deeply, the reason ARMY was not over it, the reason that screenshot of 4 sentences traveled across the internet the way it did, is because of how many people recognize themselves in the story of the person Jimin used to be. If you watch someone like that finally say, "I'm just having a great time with life," you understood what that sentence cost. You understood the distance between where he started and where those words came from. And you felt something. That is the power of Jimin as an artist and as a figure in pop culture. It's not just the voice. It's not just the movement. It's not just the records or the magazine covers. It is the fact that he has never hidden the work it took to get here. He put it in face. He put it in Muse. He has put it in interviews and Wever's posts, and the quiet way he speaks about himself when he thinks no one is looking for a headline. He has shown the whole thing. And because he has shown the whole thing, the moment of arrival, the moment when the answer to "are you too hard on yourself" becomes "not really" lands the way it does. There's one more thing worth saying here, and it connects to the Arirang era specifically. The Rolling Stone interview was conducted in February 2026, about a month before the Arirang album dropped. Jimin described himself as very nervous going into the release. Super nervous, he said, because it had been so long and he wanted so badly to do a good job. That nervousness is still there. He is still someone who cares deeply. He is still someone for whom doing well matters. He has not become someone who is indifferent to quality or to the response of his audience. That's not what changed. What changed is the difference between anxiety that diminishes you and care that energizes you. What changed is the difference between being hard on yourself because you feel like you don't belong versus pushing yourself because you genuinely love what you do and you want to keep growing. Both can look like hard work from the outside, but they feel completely different from the inside. And Jimin, who once said he didn't know if he could ever let go of the pressure, has arrived somewhere new. He still works hard. He still cares. But he's having a great time doing it. That is not a small thing. That is a decade of work. That is face and muse, and every quiet moment in between. That is a man who went away for military service, came back, walked back into a rehearsal room with 6 of his closest friends, looked around, and for the first time in a very long time, felt nothing but joy. And he told Rolling Stone. And Rolling Stone printed it. And now the whole world knows. So when you watch Jimin take that stage on the Arirang World Tour, and if you haven't seen the footage yet, go find it, because it is everything people said it would be. Remember this interview. Remember that the person you're watching is not performing out of obligation or compensation, or the need to prove something. He's performing because he can't wait to be there. Because it's a joy. Because he and his members are having so much fun. Because this is what a great time with life looks like. And if there is anything to take from Jimin's story beyond the music, beyond the entertainment, beyond the parasocial connection that fans build with artists they love, it is this. The version of yourself that finally gets to breathe, that finally gets to say not really when someone asks if you're too hard on yourself. That version of you is not built in a day. It is built through years of honest confrontation, through making the work that forces you to look at yourself, through accepting help from the people around you, through going away when you have to and coming back when it's time. Through all of it, Jimin took 10 years to get to 4 sentences in a Rolling Stone interview. And every single one of those years was visible. He showed all of it. That is why those 4 sentences hit the way they did. That is why they will be remembered long after the world tour ends and the albums move on to whatever comes next. And that is why, when Rolling Stone asked him if he thought he was too hard on himself, and he said not really, it felt like an answer that belonged to everyone who has ever spent too long being hard on themselves too. If this video meant something to you, share it with someone who needs to hear Jimin's story today. Drop a comment below. I want to know which part of his journey hits closest to home for you. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is a really good time to do that. We have more content coming that goes exactly this deep. You don't want to miss it. See you in the next one.